You face challenges that break you down, even after reading all those motivational quotes and self-help books. What if you could develop unbreakable mental strength that turns obstacles into opportunities? In this video, I'll share 6 scientifically proven secrets that elite performers use to build bulletproof mental resilience, starting today. I discovered these principles when I studied performance psychology research from Stanford and Harvard, analyzing what separates mentally strong people from everyone else. The problem is, most people think mental strength is something you're born with. Either you have it or you don't. That's completely wrong. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to rewire your brain for resilience using techniques backed by neuroscience. Let's dive in. Point 1. The 40% rule, your brain's safety limit. Now here's where it gets interesting, and it might change how you see your own potential forever. What it is, the 40% rule, discovered by Navy SEALs and validated by sports psychologists, states that when your mind screams, "I can't go on," you've only used 40% of your actual capacity. Your brain has a built-in governor, like a speed limiter on a car, designed to protect you from harm. But this protective mechanism activates way too early. Why it works? Research from the University of Exeter found that mental fatigue is primarily psychological, not physiological. Dr. Samuele Marcora's groundbreaking studies showed that your brain creates the sensation of exhaustion to prevent you from pushing into reserves. This works because your brain prioritizes survival over performance. It would rather you quit early than risk potential damage. The fascinating part? Elite athletes and special forces operatives have learned to recognize this false alarm and push past it safely. How to apply? First, identify your personal quit point in any challenging activity, whether it's studying, exercising, or working on a difficult project. Notice the specific thoughts that appear. I need a break or this is too hard. Second, when you hit that mental wall, add just 10% more effort before stopping. If you plan to study for 30 minutes, push to 33 minutes. Third, gradually increase this extension over weeks. Your brain will recalibrate its safety threshold. Fourth, avoid the common mistake of immediately jumping to extreme challenges. Instead of doubling your workout, add a single extra rep. For instance, instead of collapsing on the couch when your brain says, "I'm done with work," tell yourself, "Just one more task, just 5 more minutes." You'll be shocked how much fuel remains in your tank. But that's not all. This next principle works hand in hand with the 40% rule. Point 2. Stress reappraisal. Flipping the switch. Most people don't know this, but your body's stress response is identical to excitement. Same racing heart, same adrenaline rush, same heightened focus. What it is, stress reappraisal is the practice of consciously reinterpreting your body's stress signals as preparation for performance rather than signs of danger. Instead of thinking "I'm anxious," you think "I'm energized and ready." It sounds simple, but this tiny mental shift has profound neurological effects. Why it works? Harvard researcher Alison Wood Brooks conducted studies where participants were told to say, "I am excited" before stressful tasks like public speaking or math tests. Those who reappraised their anxiety as excitement performed significantly better than those who tried to calm down. This works because your brain can't easily distinguish between stress and excitement. Both activate the sympathetic nervous system. The difference lies entirely in your interpretation. When you frame stress as a challenge rather than a threat, your body releases the same chemicals, but your prefrontal cortex maintains better function. You get the energy boost without the mental paralysis. How to apply? First, the moment you feel stress symptoms, butterflies, racing thoughts, tension, verbally say out loud, "I'm excited," or "My body is preparing me to perform." Second, add a physical gesture like pumping your fist or taking a power stance for 30 seconds. Third, remind yourself that this feeling means you care about the outcome, which is a strength, not a weakness. Fourth, Avoid the trap of trying to calm down or eliminate the feeling entirely. That's fighting against biology. For instance, instead of thinking, "Why am I so nervous about this presentation? I need to relax." Think this energy means I'm ready to deliver something important. Let's use it. Practice this reappraisal for small stressors first. Traffic jams, minor disagreements, before applying it to major challenges. Now let's talk about something even more powerful and slightly controversial. Point 3. Voluntary discomfort, the inoculation strategy. This next one is crucial, and it's what separates people who crumble under pressure from those who thrive in chaos. What it is, voluntary discomfort, means deliberately exposing yourself to mild stress, pain, or inconvenience when you don't have to. This includes cold showers, intermittent fasting, intense workouts, or even just leaving your phone behind for a day. The key word is voluntary. You're choosing the challenge, not having it forced upon you. Why it works, neuroscience reveals that your brain builds resilience through a process called stress inoculation. Dr. Andrew Huberman from Stanford explains that controlled stress exposure increases your stress threshold, similar to how vaccines work. When you voluntarily face discomfort, your amygdala, fear center, learns that uncomfortable doesn't mean dangerous. Research on cold water immersion shows it increases norepinephrine levels by 250%, teaching your brain to function under physiological stress. This creates a psychological buffer. When involuntary stress hits, a work crisis, relationship conflict, financial pressure, your brain references its database of survived discomfort and stays calmer. Ancient Stoic philosophers understood this centuries ago, which is why Marcus Aurelius practiced sleeping on hard floors despite being emperor of Rome. How to apply? First, choose one form of voluntary discomfort that's challenging but safe. 30. Second, cold shower finishes are a great start. Second, practice it daily for at least 30 days to allow neurological adaptation. Third, progressively increase the difficulty. 30 seconds becomes 60 seconds becomes 2 minutes. Fourth, during the discomfort, practice calm breathing and positive self-talk. I'm in control. I chose this. I can handle this. Fifth, avoid the mistake of making it punishment. Frame it as training. For instance, instead of dreading your cold shower, think this is my daily mental strength workout. 2 minutes of discomfort now means hours of resilience later. The Roman gladiators didn't just fight in the arena. They trained daily with heavy wooden swords to make the real thing feel easier. But wait, there's more to this. And it involves how you talk to yourself. Point 4. Self-distance through third-person thinking. Here's a psychological hack that Olympic athletes and Navy SEALs use without even realizing it. What it is, self-distancing is the practice of thinking about yourself in the second or third person during challenging moments. Instead of "I can't do this," you think "you can do this" or "your name can handle this." It sounds strange, but this simple linguistic shift creates psychological distance from your emotions, allowing your rational brain to take control. Why it works. Research by psychologist Ethan Kross at the University of Michigan found that people who used third-person self-talk during stress showed significantly less activity in brain regions associated with rumination and negative emotion. This works because language shapes thought. When you use "I," your brain processes the situation as immediately threatening and personal. When you use "you" or your own name, your brain subconsciously creates the same psychological distance you'd have when advising a friend. You activate your prefrontal cortex, the logical problem-solving part, rather than your limbic system, the emotional, reactive part. LeBron James famously referred to himself in third person when making the biggest decision of his career because it allowed him to think more clearly. How to apply. First, in moments of stress or self-doubt, consciously switch your internal dialogue from "I" to "you" or your name. Second, ask yourself coaching questions. What would you tell a friend in this situation? Or name, what's the smart move here? Third, journal in third person about challenges. He faced a setback at work, but he has the skills to overcome it. Fourth, combine this with positive evidence. You've succeeded in 10 similar situations before. Fifth, avoid the mistake of using third person for negative self-talk. This technique is for empowerment, not criticism. For instance, instead of spiraling with "I always mess up presentations, I'm going to fail," step back and think, okay, you've done presentations before. You prepared well. You know this material. What's the first step? This creates emotional space to think strategically rather than panic. His brings me to the next secret, and it's aber. Out your physical body. Point 5. Physiological sighing. The reset button. Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds mental, but what about my body's panic response? Perfect question. This is where it gets fascinating. What it is, the physiological sigh is a specific breathing pattern. 2 inhales through the nose, 1 deep, 1 quick top off, followed by 1 long exhale through the mouth. This isn't meditation or general deep breathing. It's a precise neurological tool that actively reduces stress in real time, usually within 1 or 2 breath cycles. Why it works? Stanford neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman explains that this breathing pattern is hardwired into your nervous system from birth. You've been doing spontaneous physiological sighs since you were a baby to re-inflate collapsed alveoli in your lungs. Research shows this breathing pattern is the fastest way to reduce physiological arousal and mental stress. The double inhale maximally inflates your lungs, while the extended exhale activates your parasympathetic nervous system, your body's calm down system. This works because the exhale directly stimulates the vagus nerve, which signals your brain, we're safe now. Within 1 to 3 breath cycles, your heart rate decreases, cortisol drops, and your prefrontal cortex comes back online. Professional poker players use this technique between high-stakes hands to maintain decision-making clarity. How to apply? First, the moment you notice stress escalating, argument heating up, anxiety rising, focus slipping, do 1 physiological sigh. Deep inhale through nose, quick sip of air through nose to top off your lungs, then long exhale through mouth until your lungs are empty. Second, repeat 2 to 3 times if needed for stronger stress. Third, use this proactively before challenging situations. 1 minute of physiological sighs before a difficult conversation or impor. Tant, decision. Fourth, teach your body to associate this breath pattern with returning to calm. Practice it daily even when not stressed. Fifth, avoid the mistake of doing this too rapidly or too many times, which can make you lightheaded. For instance, instead of letting a heated argument spiral, pause and say, "Give me 1 second." Do 2 physiological sighs and watch your emotional reactivity drop by 50%. Your body literally cannot maintain panic mode when you're deliberately activating the calm response. And here's the final piece that ties everything together. Point 6. The growth mindset in real time. This last one is the foundation that makes all the others possible, and most people misunderstand it completely. What it is, real-time growth mindset, means catching your fixed mindset thoughts the moment they appear and immediately reframing them. Not days later when reflecting, but in the heat of the moment when you're actually facing difficulty. It's the difference between "I'm not good at this" and "I'm not good at this yet." That tiny word, "yet," changes everything. Why it works? Carol Dweck's decades of research at Stanford showed that people with growth mindsets, those who believe abilities can be developed, consistently outperform those with fixed mindsets in every domain, from academics to athletics to business. But here's what most people miss. It's not about believing you can improve someday. It's about reframing failure as it happens. Neuroscience shows that when you view challenges as learning opportunities rather than judgment of your worth, your brain releases dopamine and increases neuroplasticity. This works because your narrative shapes your neurology. When you think I failed, I'm inadequate, your brain enters threat mode and becomes rigid. When you think I haven't mastered this yet, what can I learn? Your brain enters opportunity mode and stays flexible. Japanese culture embedded this principle into their language. There's no word for failure, only not yet succeeded. How to apply: first, become hyper-aware of fixed mindset phrases in your self-talk. I'm bad at, I can't, I'll never, I'm not a type person. Second, the instant you catch one, add yet or reframe to I'm developing this skill. Third, actively look for the lesson in every setback. What did this teach me? Fourth, celebrate effort and progress, not just outcomes. You're rewiring your reward system. Fifth, apply this to others too. They don't understand yet instead of they're incompetent. Sixth, avoid the trap of fake positivity. Acknowledge the difficulty while maintaining the growth frame. For instance, instead of beating yourself up with, I bombed that presentation, I'm terrible at public speaking, immediately reframe, that presentation didn't go as planned. I now know I need to practice transitions more and make better eye contact. That's specific, actionable feedback. I'm building this skill. This transforms failure from an identity statement into data for improvement. Let's quickly review what we covered today. Number 1. The 40% rule. You have 60% more capacity than your brain tells you. Number 2. Stress reappraisal. Interpret anxiety as excitement and readiness. Number 3. Voluntary discomfort. Inoculate yourself against stress through chosen challenges. Number 4. Self-distance thinking. Use third person to access your rational mind. Number 5. Physiological sighing. Reset your nervous system in seconds. Number 6. Real-time growth mindset. Reframe every setback as it happens. Remember, mental strength isn't about never struggling. It's about having the tools to respond effectively when you do struggle. You have everything you need to build unbreakable resilience. These 6 techniques, practiced consistently, will rewire your brain over the next 30 days. Don't wait until the next crisis to start building these skills. Start with just one physiological sigh today. Choose one form of voluntary discomfort tomorrow. I promise you, 90 days from now, you'll look back at challenges that would have broken the old you and realize they barely slowed down the new you. If you found this helpful, hit that like button. It helps this video reach more people who need mental strength training. Subscribe for more science-backed self-improvement content like this. Drop a comment telling me which of these 6 techniques you'll try first and what challenge you're currently facing. And if you want to learn the neuroscience behind building discipline, check out the video I'm recommending next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.